guys, hope you're well. Welcome to DOdaily. Thursday thoughts, your questions answered, live of course. Really looking forward to getting stuck into today's episode. Really feel like I'm on it right now. So getting DOdaily in, as I do every day, it just sort of signs everything off. Make sure I've done all the things I intend to do. Just got back from the coaching session, which I now lead on a Thursday at 6 o'clock. Before that, I went out for a 5K run. Really hot today. Really sort of struggled, but 3 days in a row. So I'm really happy with my activity. Lots of walking as well. So sort of getting about from place to place, trying to add that in. And then the guys were absolutely brilliant in what they did. A really tough session, sprint session. But it's just about getting out there and doing all the things we do, isn't it? Touched on already. When I do daily, it's kind of ticking things off for the day. I can relax, knowing I've done all the things I want to do, and that's all it's about, isn't it? Just checking in, to see where we're at day in, day out. Enjoyed last night's video. If you've not seen it yet, check back on that. After the disappointment of the Euros, the week is sort of picking up as we go along. Everybody was a bit flat, weren't they, on Monday? And myself included, and with all that bad news about, it was really frustrating, and a sort of bitter end to everything. It left a bit of a sour taste in the mouth. But as the week's gone on, got myself back into gear, almost looking on it as a bit of a new start, after all the excitement and the indulgence for the Euros, and so getting that running in, getting my activity levels back up again, seeing people sort of keep pushing on, keep progressing, before we attack another weekend. Got lots in store. I'll mention that at the end, and I look forward to that. But of course, Thursday is all about just sort of taking the pace off a little bit in some senses in terms of DOdaily. Of course, on a Tuesday, we look to get people together to do the solidarity session and follow that up on a Wednesday with some kind of workout to keep us on top of things. Like I say, last night's episode, really enjoyed doing that. Some good feedback. Some really positive comments. Just a few thoughts on taking things out of the pandemic, forward. Of course, on Monday, the restrictions are going to loosen just a little bit. And whilst we've got to be cautious of how we're doing things, it's really important just to remember what worked for us, and that's kind of where I'm at the moment. Whilst I'm okay, whilst I'm not too high or too low, just kind of sort of reevaluating after that sort of time out, I guess, during the Euros. It's just, I just feel I'm in a place where I just need to sort of remember what worked. This is all I'm trying to do day in, day out, is remind people of what works. Sometimes it can be quite repetitive. I make no apologies for that, because that's just what it is. I listen to lots of things, and I listen to the same things every day sometimes. It's just about sort of drilling them ideas and sort of idealisms into us, to make those positive changes. Of course, if I can encourage activity and involvement, all the better. But for anyone just looking in, it's just a case of seeing how I get on, an honest take on everyday life. When I get it right, when I get it wrong, I try to be as relatable as possible, but that's all it is. It's just ways we can look forward, be positive, and be enthusiastic. I think I'm pretty good at that. I find ways to do that all the time. So like I say, even during the pandemic, it's been a tough 16 months now, hasn't it? Where we've had to sort of readjust, look at new things. But that leads me quite nicely, really, into the first question. It's actually around the pandemic, and around the changes on Monday, which I've already mentioned. Dawn asked the question, will you stop using a mask after Monday, or will you use them in certain places, such as public transport? Of course, this is a massive issue right now, isn't it? It seems to be sort of taking over everything. The news is sensationalising it and really sort of going to town on the idea of what we should or shouldn't be doing and how we should be approaching it. And again, it's causing that bit of division, isn't it? There's so much division, and I'm getting to the point with all this where I'm starting to think about switching the news off for a bit, because ultimately we're being given a choice. We're being given direction as well from a government that we don't have to do this. So I seen a tweet a week or so ago: don't try and be a hero if you do wear a mask. Don't try and be a hero if you don't wear a mask. My personal thing is, whilst I'm out in public, in open space, I probably won't wear a mask. I'm a little bit forgetful with them anyway. But what I will do, where possible, if I am on public transport, for example, or in a shop environment, I'll probably look to put a mask on. What I don't want to sort of get to is, like I said, I've just mentioned there, I've been a little bit forgetful. So if I do forget, I don't want anybody having a go at me if I do walk into somewhere, because that's the instruction we've been given. If you've watched DOdaily over the last 14 months, 16 months, whatever it is, you will have heard the odd gripe about me, the odd gripe from me about leadership. Leaving something open like this doesn't help anything. It causes this divide. Giving people sort of so much scope to make their own decisions, it doesn't help. It should be one way or the other. And I can see why in this situation, why there's a bit of choice. Some people are a bit less confident about it and have experienced it in a different way. Seeing that firsthand, as well as somebody who's always worked through the pandemic, I can see those who haven't, they're a little bit more tense. But sort of getting back to the question, like I say, it's just about sort of doing what you have to do, and that's what I'd advise, because we don't need anybody pretending to be a hero because they're doing it in a certain way. If the government said we had to wear a mask on public transport, then we have to wear a mask and follow the rules, don't we? They're saying we don't have to, so we can't beat people with a stick who don't wear it. What we need to do is make our own choices. Like I say, in confined spaces, I'll tend to wear a mask. I don't particularly like wearing it, but I have done. I have to wear it at work when I get up from my desk, when I move around. I can be a little bit forgetful then, and I'll quickly run back and put it on. But when we're moving forward, perhaps, I've gone out to the shops and completely forgot about it, got a mile down the road and thought, oh God, I've got to go back. In that situation, I'll be honest with you, I'm probably not going to come home. I'm probably going to go to the shops. But wherever possible, I'll try and walk around with a mask in my pocket, because ultimately, beyond the coronavirus, it's going to stop flu as we go into the winter season. It's going to stop lots of things, isn't it? Lots of bugs and things going around. I tend to think back to a couple of years ago and the criticism that some cultures got for wearing a mask and wearing face coverings, and now we're right there, aren't we? It can only be a good thing in terms of sort of stopping bugs getting around, but it's how comfortable people are with it, isn't it? Like I've said many times already, I'll tend to wear that, when I remember, most importantly, but absolutely where I can in sort of closed public spaces like transport. Transport's a big one, isn't it? See, already Sadiq Khan has sort of said that in London that people should wear it on the tube. Completely understandable again, but it's kind of giving people like an opportunity to pick the bones out of it, to have a go at it, and I don't want this to be something that's going to sort of keep dividing the nation. It's positive what's happening on Monday. With whatever your thoughts are on the pandemic, whatever you're thinking about it, however worried or frightened you are of what might happen, it's a positive step forward, because at some point we have to move forward. We have to get on with our lives. Life, I won't say it wasn't worth living at the start of the pandemic, but it was hard to see an end to it, and those early days were really scary and worrying. And what's the point of life if it's like that? If you can't do the things that you've become accustomed to, if that goes on for years and years and it keeps getting pushed back, then we're just wasting time. And one thing I've learned through doing DOdaily and trying to sort of get into self-development and understand myself a bit more is, time's not for wasting, is it? It's absolutely not for wasting. We've got to try and be happy and positive and enthusiastic, and take things forward. Thanks for the question, Dawn. I had a feeling I was going to get that one this week. It is out there. It is the big question, and those are the things I want to sort of dip into without it being sort of full on like it is on the news. Moving on to question 2. It's a running related question, which is great. Of course, running is my passion. Running is what I do. Running is where all this stems from. But I'll answer absolutely anything. But I'm always a little bit more comfortable when I've got a running related question. And Ashley asked, what would be your ultimate top tip for somebody taking part in a half marathon? Well, we speak about half marathons and how we can train and how we can sort of improve as runners all the time. I mentioned that coaching session there where I kind of I'm helping the guys sort of improve and get ready for certain events, and myself, I'm looking at sort of consistency right now and just get back into my running. So there's lots of ways to approach it, and this is quite a tough one, but what I'd probably say, if my personal top tip for doing this, and this goes against some advice, and it goes against my first half marathon, is to go and make sure you've done the distance. Before I did my first Robin Hood half marathon, I had this idealism that I wanted to. I didn't want to train to the distance. I'd only done 11.5 miles, and I wanted the day to be extra special and the longest distance I've ever run and feel amazing about it. The day was absolutely amazing and completing was brilliant. But I kind of lost something in the fact that at 11.5 miles, my confidence went. My confidence just drained out of me. I thought I couldn't run anymore. Of course, I'm tired. I'm probably running a little bit quicker on adrenaline and got all that support. So I just kind of caved in a little bit and I ended up doing pretty well. But the last 1.5 miles was a real struggle. Really took something away, in all honesty, from the occasion, and I wanted to be really, really positive because of what I'd done. I should have been really positive regardless. But the one thing I'd say is get out there and do the full distance. In reality, there's a lot of there's a thought that says you don't have to. You probably don't have to. But if you want to do it, you want to do it well, especially if you've got a target in mind. When I did it, I had 2 hours in mind and I just crept under it, but I knew I was going to, and that didn't help either. So if you've got a target in mind, make sure you get the distance in so you can do that, and then you can try and push on the day. If you just want to get through it, if it's just a case of doing your first half marathon, feeling all that achievement, you've got no ideas about times or things like that, or any targets, you can possibly train up to 10 or 11 miles and then get through it on the day. You can almost see it as a longer training run, because it'll still be a great achievement because it'll be your longest one ever. But for me personally, if you've got a target, my ultimate top tip for it is to go out and do the distance, because then you've definitely got something to work from. And that's what I say. Great question, that, Ash. Moving on to question 3. You mentioned weight loss a few times this week. How are you planning to go about it? Again, a great question, because somebody's picked something up from DOdaily, and sort of heard me sort of grumbling away about eating and drinking too much during the summer, and the main reason for that is because I've been injured, and as somebody whose weight really goes up and down, I have to be careful. And when the football's on, when I can't run so much, running is almost managing my weight most of the time. And that's why I'm trying to find the consistency of running every day again, whilst it's not comfortable. I was just telling the guys out there, I was running locally with the sun beating down on me, and all I was telling myself was the more you sweat, the more weight you're going to lose. So that's one of the ways I'm going to do it. I'm going to sort of try and find some consistency with my running again. But something I've really sort of resorted to in the last couple of years is reducing my alcohol intake and changing my food habits. Of course, that goes without saying in terms of diet. But what I tend to do, I don't work to any sort of real diet plan. I just do the things that we all know we should do. Less alcohol, less fatty food, less sugar, it can get a bit boring, it can get a bit repetitive. I tend to have porridge for breakfast, and I might have soup for lunch, and I might have a chicken and pasta dish or something in the evening. But that's and that can get quite repetitive day in, day out. But I'm the kind of person that during the week in particular, I'm not too fussed. I try to think that food is fuel rather than food is indulgence. A lot of people will say, "Oh, I can't eat that because I like my tea and I like my food." I like my food. I can eat a little bit too much and much too much of the wrong things, but I actually I tend to see it as fuel when I'm in diet mode. So it's just a case of getting from one meal to the other. I try not to sort of question too much what I'm going to have for my tea. Kay will often say to me what we're having for tea, and I'm like, whatever, eat tonight. She told me we was having chicken and rice, and that's fine, and that's the way I kind of deal with it. If I can sort of blank it out a little bit, because when we think about food, it's one of those things, isn't it, where we start getting ideas, and you'll see something on the television or someone will offer you something. It's just a case of trying to avoid it a little bit. Like most things, if you don't want to be involved in it, I touched on it with the news, didn't I? And if you don't want to be involved in all that negativity, just switch off. And it's the same thing for me with food. I just kind of really resort to the fact it's something I need, of course, but I can, as long as I've got something inside me, I'll go again, and of course the running and the exercise and the extra activity helps. So there's going to be a lot of walking, Days like today when it's hot, definitely trying to get out there and sweat it out a bit. But the way I really approach it is just by doing all the things we know that work. No burgers, no chips, no bread, no chocolate, no sweets. It gets boring, like I say. But if you want to do it, there's no excuses, is there? If you want to do anything, there's no excuses. You've got to really kick in. You've got to make some tough choices. I don't know if anybody's seen recently the Ronaldo incident with the Coca-Cola at the Euros. Obviously, Coca-Cola sponsored the Euros, and there's 2 bottles in front of him, and he was absolutely fuming and moved them out of the way and said something in Portuguese like, "Make sure you drink water." And it just shows us, isn't it? Somebody is sort of dedicated and is committed. And of course, he's got the perfect body without being weird about it. He looks the part, and he puts all that effort into the way he looks and his sort of physical ability, and it's just important, isn't it? Sometimes to put the right things. I'll be honest, I can be a little bit guilty sometimes of using running as a little bit of an excuse. And I want to be better than that. I talk about this all the time. When I'm in sort of training mode, when I'm in diet mode, I'm really sort of stuck in it, and I'm committed and determined, and I can lose weight really well over a period of time. Start of the year, I went into this kind of training mode again, it's where all the coaching and things like that have come from. And I lost a good bit of weight in the first 3 months. Then I got injured, and that's where my sort of issues come in slightly, because I've realised, especially in the last few months, how much the running is so important to me. It's always been important because it's my passion. It's what drives everything I do today. But the reality is the running is even more important than I realised, because it also helps control my weight, But what I've got to do is, rather than, because there's always going to be injuries, there's always going to be something that gets in the way, rather than sort of rely on it, I need to sort of assist it with my diet, and get better. And that's what I'm trying to do. So that's how I'm going to approach it. Another great question, and really enjoy sort of answering those. Those are the things where I feel I can sort of explain it my way, and that's all I'm trying to do, as I say all the time, is just be sort of honest with it, and some of those things, what I'm talking about in terms of that diet, doesn't really shed good light on me, but that's what I'm here for, to try and improve, to try and get better, and with sort of support and encouragement, and by putting it out there and making myself accountable, hopefully that's what I can do. I don't want to think I've run to the best of my ability yet. I've been running for 6 years now, and whilst I came to it quite late, I want a period again where I feel super fit and feel really on top of it. And without making some of these changes, without really sort of making them permanent changes rather than temporary changes, I'm never going to get there. And that's what drives me on sort of every day to get to a point. Of course, we'll have blips. That's what it's all about, isn't it? You're probably bored of me saying now we go again, but that's all we can do. We can't change what's gone, and we can't change the ups and downs of life sometimes. They're going to come. It's as guaranteed as the sun coming up tomorrow. That's the way it is. But what we can do is keep talking about it, keep putting effort in, and just keep trying. The more we do that, the more it becomes sort of ingrained into us. What I will say about anything we speak about, when it comes to sort of listening and taking advice on board, I appreciate it's not always easy, because we live the way we've lived to this point in our lives. So I'm 41, for 41 years, it's been ingrained in me to do the things I do, whether it's by parents or other people, you kind of just follow suit. And when you make decisions for yourself, I found, like lots of people do during my 30s, you kind of find this, you find yourself a little bit, I probably find it towards the latter part of my 30s. But I found myself when I started running, and then you've almost got to reprogram yourself a little bit, and without getting too deep into it, it's all these neuro systems that you've established and you've built, and you've got to change them. And it's hard. Some people never change. Some people never listen. Some people never take on board advice. But all I'm trying to do is make these small positive changes, be enthusiastic about it while I'm doing it, and bit by bit, I know I'll get there. I'll keep doing it. I'll keep doing absolutely whatever I can. Thanks for all the questions today, guys. Really sort of enjoyed getting into those. I always enjoy a Thursday anyway. It does get me out of my comfort zone. It's one of those positive changes. If you've got any questions, if you've got any comments about anything on that, let us know whether you will be wearing a mask or not after Monday. What's your top tip for a half marathon? Or anything about weight loss and diet. I'd love you to post up some comments. I could really do with the support on this. I said to Kate before I started, I really enjoyed Thursday, and there were some people who really supported it to start with, but of course, it's not, some people don't want to stick with it because they get a bit bored, they get a bit distracted. I'm definitely not bored of it. I absolutely love doing what I do. It'd be fantastic to get that support. All I'm trying to do is help and encourage others, and support people who are doing similar things, or who want to make a similar journey. So if you've got any sort of comments or questions for next week, please post them to des@dorunning.org.uk. Of course, I'm just putting it up now. Check out the social media. Post any comments on that as well. There's several posts throughout the week. Give us a follow. Like, subscribe, all the usual things. That's the way it gets moving forward. Tag us in on your stories, on your post. We've just set up a DOdaily Facebook page, so please follow that as well. I'll be back in the morning for Wake Up to Walk, following the Robin Hood way. I say it every time this week. Really looking forward to that. Thursdays always feels a little bit like the start of the weekend. And again, that's just me being positive, because it's not. It's just the evening DOdaily out the way. And once I've done Friday morning and done my work on a Friday, it really is the weekend, and I'm really looking forward to it. Of course, I'm taking on that challenge of completing the Robin Hood Way through Nottinghamshire. I'm up to leg 14 or something like that. Can't remember exactly, but getting to about 50 miles. It's taking me time, but I'm absolutely loving it. So I'll be gutted when it finishes anyway. We're heading out towards the eastern knots from sort of White Post area in the centre of the county out towards Southall, really sort of ready to attack the day. Look ahead to the weekend. After that disappointing start to the week, I've said it already, the week's really picked up. I'm feeling good about what I'm doing, and I've got some nice things to look forward to again at the weekend. I'm at the cricket tomorrow. The weather's going to be amazing. It's going to be a full house. It's a test event. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes, and we're actually, it's said in the rules we don't have to wear masks, which is interesting after that first question. So really looking forward to sort of getting on with that, you know. Just before I leave, I'll leave you with a throwback. Again, if you can post some comments on this, it'd be absolutely amazing. It's just trying to help others and inspired, you know. And like I say, while some people might still watch but might not comment as much anymore, you know, it just really help. All I'm trying to do is help others, you know. So please, if you can, what is your must-do thing before every race? Just one thing. Don't need a massive response to that. You know, what is your must-do thing? Is it, do you get your kit out the night before? You know, do you put your number on with the pins in a certain order? You know, have you got any superstitions? Anything like that would be absolutely fantastic. Thanks for the comment there, Dawn. I'm sorry, I was just reading that. Great answers and great questions. Good luck with the new streak. Well, hopefully I can keep on with that. No targets for that, by the way. I've not touched on that today. No real targets for the new streak. Just that consistency again. Just getting me to a place where I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling happy, because as I always say, when you're feeling like that, you make positive decisions, whether it's food, you know, whether it's preparation for a race. One positive action leads on to another. And that's what's really important, isn't it? So please be in touch, guys. There's several ways to get involved in Thursday Thoughts. Like I say all the time, really love doing it. You know, really out of breath by the end of it. So can kind of switch off for the rest of the day, but looking forward to all that sun over the weekend. So join me in the morning. You know, it should be absolutely amazing. You know, last week I was walking through the green fields, and whilst I've had trees and built up areas, that did something for me as well, you know. And that it's just about that, isn't it? It's just about really enjoying it. Just a quick comment before we go. Case put one on. Just in answer to that question, my non-negotiable is having good breakfast. Porridge and raisins is always good and easy to shove down. Of course, a great sort of pre-workout meal. You know, there's lots of carbs in it to get you going. Thanks for the response there. If anybody else can add anything, I'm sure there'll be lots who can take that advice on board. Once again, thanks for watching. Do what you have to do. Get the message out there. Let's get some views up. Let's get some subscribers up. It's what this is all about. Been a really good couple of weeks doing it. Bit varied, bit of this and that, and I've got a good few weeks ahead as well with a few different events. I'll be looking to do some of those vlog type things where you're checking in and out. Really enjoy those. Get a really good response to them. So stay tuned, guys. Until tomorrow. Have a good evening. Just doing it.